talking about fathers, we're going to start off with the guy who calls himself Keyshawn Davis's father, Andy Cruz. Andy Cruz, the amateur standout from Cuba. He was the co-main event. They fought in Madison Square Garden at the theater there in New York. He fought against Hironori Mishiro. This was an IBF title eliminator at 135 pounds. This was Cruz's only sixth professional fight. Now, we talked about it a lot in the past about Andy Cruz, about some of the similarities maybe to Vasily Lomachenko. Cruz, not a two-time gold medalist like Loma, but Olympic gold medalist, and a guy who's taken the path and he's pushing it very, very quickly in his pro career. Winning this IBF title eliminator, he is now in line to fight Raymond Muratalla for the IBF championship at 135 pounds, his next fight. Before we get into that and his prospects moving forward, just want to get your thoughts on the fight. To me, it was very easy and evident to see. He was just too much speed, too much skill, and it took about a round to see that. It was like drilling a speed bag. But what'd you think of this fight? What do you think of Andy Cruz moving forward?
Yeah, I love him. But first of all, when you said Andy Cruz, let's explain to the audience saying that he's Keyshawn's father. He said that on the mic, just for some of the people that might not be aware of that. He said on the microphone, basically, I'm your father, because they got some stuff going. They, as you said, they fought in the amateurs a few times. Yeah, and Cruz got the better of him each time, from what I understand. So, obviously, he's playing with his head. He's playing with him, and he's also promoting a future fight, Andy Cruz, by saying, hey, listen to your father, and Cruz being a father. It reminds me a little bit of the great Boston Red Sox pitcher. You're not going to like this memory because you were a big Yankee fan. We all were. But Pedro Martinez, when he used to say to the Yankees, I'm your daddy, and when he would shut them down, which he did quite a few times. Although the Yankees did get the better of most of the time, or of the Red Sox most of the time, except that one time, which was hard for you because you were up in Northeastern University, and you're a Yankee fan and you had all these Red Sox fans around you. It wasn't easy for you. I even sent some help over there in the form of Ron Borges, the great writer, the great sports writer, and a few friends of his. I sent them all because you were, it was a little difficult for you. I mean, listen, you didn't help your cause by, having a Bronx Bomber shirt on as you walked around, and as they were celebrating finally breaking the curse and beating the Yankees after 150 years. Really, it was about 85 years, whatever it was a long time. But listen, as far as Andy Cruz goes, whether he's the daddy of Keyshawn or not, before we make him Jose Napoles, one of the great, or Kid Chocolate, so many. I mean, I could go on and on with these great Cuban fighters. I'm sure Pedro Martinez Fraga, the former fighter and great lawyer and friend of mine and friend of my family's and friend of the show, I'm sure that he's smiling as I mention these great Cuban fighters. But before we make Andy Cruz really one of those great Cuban fighters, just like the lineage of the great Mexican fighters, or whatever nationality you want to go to, there's lineage of great fighters for the most part. But before we anoint him that caliber, and bestow that on him, that's taken to like I did when I called the fights at ESPN for 25 years. That's taken to account who he fought. I mean, yeah, he looked great. He looked terrific, tremendous. But he fought a guy who's tall and long, who doesn't know how to fight tall and long. And when you don't know how to fight tall and long, and you're only tall and long, and you just you stand tall, guess what? You're an easy target. And Cruz showed that. And when you have quick hands and you're concise with your punches and you got all that amateur background and you're calm and you're able to find the right spots, you're going to look great. Now, look, Cruz, I like him. I like him a lot. But again, before we make him, all of these great Cuban fighters all merged into one. Let's remember, he had batting practice. If I'm going to go back to the baseball analogy of Pedro Martinez, he had batting practice. I mean, he looked like, and I want my man, we got Richie, who's the best over here, and we got, obviously, Bennett Garcia, who's the best with Eddie. I want him to get this up if he can. He looked like, I know I'm going to jump weight classes, bud, but there were spots there, and I don't know if I've ever compared anyone in this kind of way, because this was so sensational when you saw it. A young Muhammad Ali against Cleveland Big Cat Williams putting punches together. When Ali was at his best, when he was in there with Big Cat Williams and he was running combination, oh my goodness, wow. Oh my, that's all you can say is, oh my God, wow. But part of it was Big Cat Williams, who had been a formidable fighter, big puncher, heavyweight, top contender. He was at a stage in his career now that he wasn't quite the same. But still, Ali just lit him up. That's the only way I can say it. He showed his speed. He showed his ability to put punches together, but he had the right guy at that time to do it with. Cruz had the right guy to do it with at this particular time, and yeah, he lit him up. Yeah, what did he show me? He showed me hand speed. He showed me accuracy. He showed me patience when he didn't get carried away early on. And then he showed me the ability to understand when it was time to put the foot down on the accelerator. He showed finishing qualities. He showed all of that. He's not a huge puncher. He's an accurate puncher. But when you put them together the way he put them together there, well, you don't have to be a huge puncher. So I think that I tie that up with a bow. For me, I want to see him with better guys. We're going to see it now. When you put yourself in position and you fight with something, or you fight in something that's called title eliminator, you're telling the world, okay, I'm ready for everybody. Yeah, I'm ready for everybody. So now I want to see him with everybody. And the last kudos I'll give him, he's doing it with 6 fights. Whatever it is. I don't know. I don't have his record in front of me.
6-0 with 3 knockouts now.
Yeah, so he's doing it with 6 fights. Now, you could do that when you got 300 amateur fights or whatever the number is. And, you've done the things he's done and fought all the international competition since you were a kid. You're more able to do that. You have that kind of experience. But still, it's pretty impressive. It's pretty damn impressive. Like Stephen A. would say, it's pretty damn impressive to see that. Yeah, because he's doing what most guys do after 20 fights. 25 fights. He's ready to fight. He's jumping in the deep end. He's jumping in the ocean. He's saying, bring the sharks, bring everything. I'm ready now to go scuba diving. I'm ready to go into the deepest parts of this ocean called boxing. And again, 6 fights. Yeah, you're joining the company of a Regan Diao, another great Cuban. The company of a Lomachenko. The guys who have been able to win titles, or at least he hasn't won it yet, but to fight at that level and be ready to fight for a title with a short amount of professional fights. Morel, another Cuban who did it in a short amount of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are all great examples. And that's what we started off saying. Lomo-esque in a lot of ways. His professional debut was versus Juan Carlos Burgos, 35-7-3. That was Andy Cruz's pro debut. So he stepped it up quick. And next will be Raymond Muratalla. We just watched him. We just talked about him recently. He looked very impressive, trained by the great Robert Garcia. So that's gonna be a big one. The one thing before we move on from this one, Bud, you touched on. It's what made this fight so scary to me, watching it as just a viewer. He isn't a huge puncher, but the precision and the accuracy, as you said, and he couldn't miss. Starting to get worried that's how a fighter gets hurt, right? Not from the one shot and you're out, but the accumulation. And I we're starting to think, does his trainer have something against this kid? Does the ref have something against him? I think it could have been stopped a little bit earlier, but it finally was. Thankfully, the ref stopped it in the 5th round, and Cruz gets the win and sets up again for his mandatory title challenge against Raymond Muratalla next.
Yeah, 100%, bud. That's a terrific point. It's very true. And I don't know, that Mishiro is a tough game guy. Give him that. What a game guy. But just too easy to find. And to get found by a very good fighter.